friend of yours who has something and all of a sudden you want that? Well, that is what we're going to be discussing today. Good evening. My name is Chidima and I have some very lovely and very pretty ladies beside. You know Sharon, of course. So, but I will introduce this very amazing, pretty young girl.
Hi, I'm Praise.
I'm sure for those of you who are regulars, you would have seen her here before. She's here. And there's one person that would probably know the topic that you were here on. And that's Sami. Sami always knows the topic that
Everyone is on.
That's how he remembers people. He'll see you and he's like, that's the show that you were on. So that is Praise. Obviously, as I said, that is our humble, Sharon. And she says it as it is. I am Chidima and I just try to be nice, to everybody. And today we're going to be discussing something that we know is happening in this day and age. And the topic basically is, do you want what others have? And shouldn't you be content with what you have? And if we notice, it is in all areas of life. When I mean all areas, it is in our Christian life, it's in our jobs, our relationships, everything. We find out that there are a lot of people that want what other people have and not happy with what they have. So we are going to kickstart it today. And obviously, if you want to share the page, you can do so. And you can share it with your friends if you want to type it out. It is facebook.com/RCCGJCC. That is facebook.com/RCCGJCC. Send in your comments, send in your questions. We're not experts, but we will do our possible best to answer your questions. Or hopefully, someone who is watching our Tolas and our Somis and our Victorias and our Simis and Lafunkis and everyone would be able to answer your questions. So just go in there, share it, and drop your ideas and your comments. Okay, so let me start it today. I'm not going to leave it to Sharon because Sharon is going to be mean to me. Sharon will make me want to start explaining. But I will start it off. What do you understand by being content? What do you understand by being content? I'll start with Praise since she's our guest today.
I'd say that being content is being satisfied in yourself where you are. It doesn't mean that you're exactly where you want to be yet, but you're comfortable in yourself at the point where you are now. So that, and I think that's the best driving force to be able to make any sort of progress. Yeah.
So the point where you are, and it's a driving force to make any progress. I never would have thought of it. But it's good. The truth is that's why we bring guests, because if we stick with what we know, trust me, we'll all be BSc holders. They make you, MSc holders.
Wow. The combination of
exactly. They give you. The way we have the likes of Prince and Clinton, they take us to the PhD level. Shaz?
Yes, content. I would say content, being what I understand about the definition of content is that confidence of this is where I am, but I'm not limited to it. I think because that's in my understanding anyways, is that confidence, because if you don't have that confidence, that's when you look elsewhere and you never appreciate what you already have or where you already are.
Okay. When I was reading it up, my own definition would have been being content, in your words, is being satisfied and being happy with what you have. And that's why when we're talking about the questions for today, I sent there's a question that I sent, and because when I was reading up, something just came at me and I'm like, you guys should stop confusing me. I like when life is so simple instead of making things a lot more complicated. So for me, I would have said, being content is being satisfied and happy with what you have. Now, with regards to what I said hits me, there was a question that I saw. Being content, does that mean that you are happy?
I think that being content doesn't mean that you're happy. I think that it means that you have that happiness and that joy that is not circumstantial and that is not based on external circumstances, but that is intrinsic to you as a person, and that comes from God and from yourself, and the confidence that Sharon mentioned in knowing that you're not limited to where you are now. And for me, that's why I said that it's that being happy in yourself where you are now, because sometimes you're in a situation, it's like, ideally, I'm not necessarily happy with me being in this situation, but I'm happy with myself as I'm here, because I know that me and the God that I serve were able to get out of this together. So for me, it was that being happy in and of yourself, regardless of the current temporary position. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sharon.
She's good.
Honestly, I'm like,
She's good.
we should have just left her to do the show on her own. Like, she can do everything. But Sharon, what would you say with regards to, you know, being happy
Is being
and
content.
yeah,
Does it mean being happy?
yeah.
I would say yes and no. The reason why I would say no is because a lot of times happiness is based on materialistic things. I think happiness is like the weather, especially the British weather. It comes and it goes, you cannot predict it, it's not stable, you cannot depend on it, you cannot rely on it. That's my own understanding of the word, of the emotion happiness and happy. But joy, on the other hand, obviously is, I think, what Praise was describing. So does being content necessarily mean you doesn't necessarily mean you're happy? Now, in terms of materialistic things, if like we've already agreed that you're satisfied, you're confident, you're not limited, then yeah, it can mean that you are happy, because you're happy you're happy at the idea of, this is where I am today and I wasn't here yesterday. It could be that you're happy about, this is where I am today, but it doesn't mean this is where I'm going to be stuck tomorrow. But sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that you're happy. Because just for what I said, because happiness is something that it wavers. So that's why I say yes and no.
Okay. It is, the truth is, it's a very complicated, that's why I said, as soon as I saw it, it just hit me. I'm like, man, life is deep, but it's not that deep. Like, don't make things any harder for us.
Literally that.
Don't make things any harder for us. When you're content with something, as you said, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're happy. That's if I want to look at it that way. Okay, let's look at it from this angle. Okay, I need food. I'm okay with the fact that I've got food now, but am I happy with what I'm eating? Well, I've got to eat. Sometimes it's like I've got to. So let's just
make do.
Let's make do.
That's
Exactly.
it,
Let's make do with what we have. But does that mean that we're settling?
I think.
I thought you said life is not that difficult.
That's so interesting. I think when you're settling is when you've decided that this is the mountain on which you have decided to dwell. I think sometimes you have to pass through things. And in that moment, for as long as you know that you're like sort of striving towards better, sometimes having to live within it means that it's smaller than you would like for now in order to achieve a later goal might be the way forward. But I think when you've decided that it is the Tesco's brand baked beans that you're going to eat today, tomorrow, this time next year, and forevermore, then that's when you've decided that you're content with mediocrity. No disrespect for Tesco's brand, but
But that's what you've decided, because a lot of people, there are certain people that if it's not this, it's not that. If I've got to buy eggs, I've got to buy it from this particular place. These are the reasons why I buy it from there. So I'm content with what they're offering me. So does that mean that's a typical state of being happy? I'm happy with what I'm buying.
But in a situation where you now cannot afford to buy that for whatever reason, does that then throw that type of a person into a spiraling something? Or are they content in having to buy a different type of egg for the time being?
That's where the unhappiness comes in.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time, no, let's check it. I'm okay with buying this particular brand. So we've got brand A and B. I'm content with A.
Yeah.
Right. But at this point in time, something has happened. I can't do that. I've got to go there. So I become unhappy. That's where I'm happy you know, being content does not necessarily mean you are happy with it, but I'm happy with the fact that I can buy these eggs and I can bake the cake and the meat pie. And
I think certain circumstances would cause a lot of times for us to settle. Now, with what you're saying, it depends on what is available.
Yeah.
If financially this is what you can afford, despite the fact that normally it's probably what you could normally afford was higher, but now you're in a situation where you're cutting costs maybe because you're trying to save for something bigger, or literally financially you're not stable enough to go the other route that you normally do. I think contentment would mean settling in certain areas. And most times it would maybe in materialistic things, but obviously settling in the mindset is a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
So settling, you know, because you're making a rash decision, a very smart decision of this is what it is, and so that I can feed, you know, maybe it's for you, for your family, for whatever, or so that tomorrow I'm also able to planning ahead. But if you now settle, being content can lead to settling, and it's not a good thing, especially when it comes to the mind.
Yeah.
And even with materialistic things, let's say Tesco brand is what you can afford today, but it shouldn't mean that that's what you plan or aim to buy all your life. It could be something else, let's say the baked beans, Tesco brand, and then whatever other brands, is healthier for you, especially, you know, everyone's body is different. It's healthier, it's better for you, and we're not getting younger, we're getting older. So, you know, if that means you need to spend more money on that thing that's better for you, have it in your mindset that this is where I am, I'm happy today. At least I can still afford to get that beans. But my mind, I'm not allowing myself to settle, because I know what is good for me, both physically and in terms of, you know, financially, mindset-wise, and aiming higher and achieving higher. So being content can lead to settling, but I don't ever think it's good. Settling to an extent, it's okay. But once it enters the mindset has so many branches that you would end up settling in many areas of your life without realizing.
I think at that point, there's a level of contentment, and then I think one has to be really, really careful not to slip into complacency. And just be like, oh yeah, this is my situation. It could have been worse, though. Like it could have been so much worse.
Thank God,
you know? Oh, thank God, I'm here. Let me just sit on this mountain and let me just eat these baked beans. I know that I could probably do better in life, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's still
like
beans.
at that point, you're no longer even. You may not even be content in the situation, but like you're just there. Like, and the thing is, the world and time and opportunities wait for not a singular soul. Like, and so when you're in that level of complacency, you're not even looking to improve anymore, you're just looking to dwell. At that point, I think I don't even know if I want to call it contentment, but let's say contentment gone wrong. Yeah. Yeah.
all right, before we continue, I'll just let Sharon take over from here. She's going to do the whole bit that I don't know how to do.
Which is
The
that?
Facebook.
The Facebook shout outs. Okay, we see quite a few of you guys are tuning in tonight, so thank you. We see you all, even though we don't see y'all, but we see y'all.
We see ya.
Yeah, you understand. I want to say hello to, I don't know how to pronounce this name, but
Is
let's
it
say Coyote.
Tawakalit Karimo.
Yes.
Coyote.
Hi.
Okay.
She says hi, girls.
Hey, yeah.
Victoria says hello, beautiful people. Mwah. Hi, Vicky. Tola, as always, she's here. Hi, Tola.
Tola, I've got your back today. Don't worry. Forget Sharon.
No, it's all love. Tola says, Philippians 4:11-13. She says, not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity. It's not allowing me to see anymore.
In any and every circumstances, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me.
Yeah. She goes on to say contentment is not synonymous with settling.
And she says hi after
everything.
everything. Hi, Tola. So I like the fact that Tola went all biblical today, because I said I was going to do it. I've got some Bible passages that I saw, and I'm like, these Bible passages are quite, deep, and it does help a lot. So now, before we go into wanting what other people have, there was something, I'm not sure if it was Sharon or yourself that made the statement. We were talking about, we were saying, okay, I think you said it, I'm okay, but let's just thank God. I know I have been in that position at some point, so a lot of people, when it comes to jobs, a lot of people are like that. As I said at the beginning, if you heard at the beginning, being content, it goes into different areas of our lives. Some people are content with regards to, this is the food that I eat, or I'm not going to buy more than £200 a month, or more than £200 a month. I'm okay with what I'm buying. I'm not going to live above my means. Even if you believe that, even if you actually have above that, but I'm content with this, But in terms of jobs, there are a lot of people that go, I've got a job.
It's paying the bills.
That's all that matters. They're paying me £8.50 an hour.
It's paying the bills. It's bringing food home.
I can pay my rent. As long as I can pay my rent, I can go to work, come back, pay every other bill, and I still have small change.
Oh gosh, I hate that word.
Small change. Then I'm okay. Would you say that at that point in time, people don't,
I've got a funny fact. When I was on my way to work, it was said on the news that it's higher than ever. There's a large percentage, I can't remember the numbers, I think it was over 20-something% of us, from the age 25 to 49 of us, in terms of work, are overqualified for the jobs that we're in. Now that, in my eyes, is the definition of settling.
If ever I saw one.
If ever, yeah. Because being overqualified and yet staying in that position. Now, not necessarily saying that there's no other positions in that company for you to get promoted to develop yourself, and obviously to achieve the best that you can. But people start as junior, maybe graduate to just the one above, and stay there.
For me, I'll never understand that.
And they're okay. They don't look to press on. They don't look to push buttons. They just look to stay. And I've worked in a company where there was a guy there, bless him. He's lovely, he's quiet, he came to work in the firm, started as a junior, and then worked his way up to a senior designer. But he was in that position for at least a good 15 years.
That same position? Like, he didn't go to another company or something?
No, he was within that company for over 20-something years, 20-plus years.
Wow. A decade and a half of his life was spent in that one singular position. It wasn't a problem for him.
Like, I was talking to...
By then, you could have been a director. You could have had your own company.
Or move to another company.
Or started your own.
Even if you want to have the same position, go somewhere that they're going to be paying you better.
Exactly.
And it's harder for you to fight and say, I deserve to be paid more. When, 5 years, you've been stable with the same job title and same
The
payroll.
only thing that's making it change is the fact that the government has said, you know what, this year we're going to increase the wages for this age and above.
It's in line with inflation anyway, so realistically, it's not making a difference. For me, that would just lead to an intrinsic sense of frustration. Like, I would just be so annoyed. Like, why am I here?
Some people aren't.
Like, it's like being a hamster.
That's
you're
your
running
mentality. You're not going anywhere.
I like the
hamster in a treadmill. Everyone understands that. So literally, it is.
I was watching an animation. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, and the hamster was going round, and he just came out and says, "I've been doing this, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm still in the same spot."
Yeah.
So, but he was frustrated at the fact that I can't go any further. This is where I am. And there was a time I was talking to, like 2 years ago, so I was talking to Cam, and he was telling me about somewhere where he worked, and the woman, there was a lady, he was talking to the lady, and she said, "Oh, I've been here for 22 years. And he turned to her like, "I'm just doing this to while away time because I'm looking for something better. And you've been here for 22 years and you're okay with
And you're
it.
proud of
Now,
yourself.
the people who are managing you are like your children's age.
Yes, that does happen, and that
And
really does.
you are okay with. She said, "Oh yes," as you said, it pays the bills,
Yeah.
so she's content with it. So at this point in time, so basically, what would you say in this case? Would you say, people shouldn't strive? Because I was going to use a Bible, passage there, where the master gave different. Because I was reading up about it, where the master gave 3 servants, one he gave 5 gold, the other 2 and
the
one
talents,
1.
yeah.
So in that case, obviously, because he wanted to improve himself, yes, I like the fact that I've got 5, I've got more, but I've got more than these other 2 people, but I'm going to do better and get more. So that one person, that person that had 1 gold, would we then say that that person was in that? People can stay in that situation and we're okay with it.
To an extent, I would say with that parable, my understanding was that he was afraid of the risk
Afraid
Oh,
to fail.
It was a
going
risk.
out.
And
Yes,
sometimes
it is
that
a
is
risk.
the reason
It
why
is
a
a
lot of
risk.
people will stay somewhere.
Yeah,
There's a fear of
it's
failure.
the fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of, being disappointed
Yeah.
in the end. And I guess with the parables that you're talking about, that it's literally, he came back thinking he did his master good. Like, listen, master, this is what you gave me. And look, I went to go and dig a deep hole.
And I
hid
see.
it so no one
I'm
can see it.
saving my
But
money.
it's the master said, you're lazy. That he was a foolish servant. And I pray that none of us shall be like that in Jesus' name. But with stuff like jobs and work, it's amazing. The first thing, of especially in today's society, getting a job, number one, is difficult. Especially in the field of interest or the field that you've studied in, is difficult. And then once you're there, a lot of people are just like, oh, well, compared to my friends,
I'm doing all right.
I'm not
I'm
bad.
okay.
I'm okay. I mean, they're still looking for a job, or maybe they're still working in the part-time job they were working in during uni, and I've at least got a graduate role. But instead of them to push, it's a very small percentage that will push themselves, and a very
Like
large
very
percentage
that
that
will
will
very,
just stay
very,
stagnant.
very,
And
very
that's why we
small
have
percentage.
the pyramid. How many CEOs are there in a company?
Not much.
And how many workers do they have? It only increases as it goes down, and the person of power, they only lessen as you go up the pyramid. So that's literally what it is when it comes to job. And it's sad because people feel like they interchange the word content and settle, which is wrong.
Yeah.
You are settling. Call a spade a spade. When you're in a position where you're not progressing, and progress doesn't necessarily mean you're getting higher pay. Progress, you would know the definition of progress in your life, in that job particularly that we're talking about. You would know what progress is. If you're not making any sort of it, and you look back, you've been there for a year plus,
You move on.
then you're settling.
Yeah.
But people like to try to use, oh no, I'm content. It's good to be content. It's good to appreciate what you have. But people are afraid of the risk of rejection because it's real.
Unless there is no position higher than yours, I feel like you should always be aiming to get above. And I think sometimes it's a lack of desire to make that investment in yourself. Sometimes progressing means that outside of your 8 hours of work or like your 9 to 5, you have to go home and do some reading. You have to go home and work, or you have to save to invest in your side hustle to make it your full time. You have to do all of that, and sometimes people just don't want to do it. But they also want to reap the benefits of the thing they're not doing.
They want
And
it.
that's where people's eyes
Start turning
they
green.
now be looking at their friends. Oh, did we not go to the same uni? Did we not study the same course? How come she's here and I'm there?
Because when you were sleeping, she was doing what she needed to do.
Or you may both have been awake, just that
You
she
on
had the
Instagram.
bigger picture.
Exactly.
She had the bigger.
No one was on Instagram to gossip and look at Shade Room. The other one was on Instagram to promote their business. Now look at them. Look at
The
your age
difference
mates.
is real.
The fact that I brought this delay just makes it a lot more easier. Really, because it reminds me of where I was working from 2017 up until last year. And when I joined, there was this girl that knew the job, because we used to work for a motor finance company. And she knew the job, and I'm like, wow. if there's any, it was an outsourcing company, but we're doing some work for, motor finance. And I turned to this girl. She was a lot younger, but I turned and I said, if there's a managerial role, I think you should go for it. And she's like, no, I'm okay.
No.
And I said, why are you okay? She said, oh no, I haven't got a degree, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, yours is, there are certain people, I'm not saying it justifies her, whatever, but if she gives me that reason, she because what she said was, I want to learn more, I want to be able to, when I go apply for this role, I want to be able to defend what I am applying for.
Yep.
Now that was understandable, but I said, look, if you look at some other, I've been to places where managers are like, they don't even know Jack. What they know is what they learned there. After being, looking at this person over 3-4 months, they feel, oh, I can do it, let me apply for a managerial role. And, so when I moved up, the girl was like, oh, you're really taking the risk to apply for this role. And I said, well, if I don't apply,
how will I get it?
I wouldn't know. I did, I applied for it, I got the job, and I turned to her and I said, this is what you should do. On her birthday last year, I put up Holly I was like, happy birthday, darling, Holly for manager. And that's what I put up. And now she's actually the manager.
Good.
So I said, I told her, I said, if you sit back, you're not going to get there.
One thing I read actually that really spun me, because I fall into this category, is perfectionism is for procrastinators. Perfectionism is for procrastinators.
I've been
it really spun me, because initially I was very argumentative because I'm a perfectionist. I was like, no, it's not. What do you mean? But more time, I use the phrase, I'm a perfectionist, to say, this is why I won't start now. I'm waiting to be perfect at this thing.
Yeah.
This is why I won't apply now. This is why I won't get into this thing now. It's always been because I'm a perfectionist. Whereas it's more, I'm afraid to fail on this one,
Yeah. So it's more like, if I have to do it, if it has to come out well, I've got to wait.
And there will never be a perfect moment.
There's
It will never.
There's never a perfect moment.
Even if you want to be a perfectionist, there's no perfect time.
Because even if you have all the funds
Exactly.
to start
God
up the
bless you.
business, you could start and it just crashes, and you're gonna be like, oh my God. But anyway, I've learned quite a couple of things. For those of you who are just tuning in, thank you so very much for tuning in. It is a Dare to Ask show, and we are looking at, do you want what other people have, and should you be content with what you have? Send in your comments. We have likes of Vicky and Kay, Kay, I'll just leave it as Kay. Kay that have said hi, and Tola, obviously, that have sent in their comments. Thank you so very much, all of you. And we're waiting for your comments as well. Send them in. We've got Praise here, and we've got, obviously, Sharon. And they've been giving some very lovely stuff. Sharon, there was something Sharon said. She said, settling in the mindset is a dangerous thing. These are, sometimes when we bring people in and where we have people as hosts on the show, we're not putting them there because they've got the fine faces and they speak the good English. It's because of what we can learn. And these are deep things that are being said. When you settle in the mindset, it is very, very dangerous. You find yourself staying there and probably digging yourself deeper into the hole. And Praise has also said, perfectionists is for procrastinators. And I'm like, man, that means see, those two things, right? Those two statements have put me in thinking position. These are statements that you should go back home, sit and think of your life. Because honestly, I have been in that situation where I said, no, if I do it now, it will not be nice. It will not be good. It will not be good. And you'd never, probably, I'm sure my mom or my sister have said it in a different way. Chidima, start this your makeup thing. And I'm like, no, at the right time, there's never a right time. There's never, ever a right time. So as I said, we're talking about being content. I don't know if there's any other comment on Facebook, but yeah, Sharon.
And Tola's giving us today. She's got our time today.
Tola is in a different.
So Tola continues to say, I don't think people should be olojukokoro.
She went local.
So should I translate?
You're Yoruba girl, are you? Okay.
You might as well translate for all our viewers.
Insect eye.
So
See,
insect time.
see, the literal translation is insect time. But it's like, yeah,
that basically your eyes, you're just always
you
looking.
want
looking everywhere,
yeah,
very
everywhere,
big, very-
exactly.
She said yes. So by wanting other people's lives, which can very easily turn into jealousy, resentment, making people's lives your goals. And I love that term because hashtag goals.
Goals of everything.
OMG, we'll go there. We will go there. So and she said instead learn to appreciate what they have. Of course, you can admire something in someone and aim to mirror similar qualities. But as far as wanting something just because Tomiwa also has it, does not scream someone who has their priorities in order to me. The thought of staying in one company, especially in the same position for donkey years, is a wild and scary thought to me. A millennial. Yes, it is. Simi says, my people, well done. Hi, Simi.
Hey, Sims.
Somi has arrived.
Somi has come.
He has come.
Hey, Somi.
Hey, Somi.
Hey, Sammy. Sammy, can you remember the first show she was in?
Yeah,
If you
I'm
can,
sure you
if
probably
you
told
can,
me.
send me a message. That's Praise. The first show that Praise was on. Just let me know.
He
All right.
says, hi guys, good to see you all. Hello. Good to see Praise as well. Oh.
You see? You see?
Oh,
I
you're known. Be content with that. She said, he says, being content is a decision. As a matter of fact, it takes discipline. It applies to every facet of our lives and every stage we are at. For me, contentment is about appreciating who you are, where you are at, and what you have, knowing that tomorrow will always be better because you are a child of God. This should then propel us into greater heights. When we miss appreciation, we never maximize the stage we are at and may miss out many lessons we ought to learn in our Christian walk. Also, appreciating where you are at receives your future with appreciation because you know where you are coming from. That said, it doesn't mean we can't desire greater, as some people are ambitious, and that is fine. But we can't always be in a haste. That's a good one. We can't always be in a haste for more without being grounded in anything. You can type that into your notes. That was
pure.
Always being in a haste without being grounded.
Sometimes I feel like we should just put a topic and not talk and just have people just
Comment.
drop.
Do you know what? That's actually not a bad idea.
Should just
Put a topic out
just
there
put a
and just
topic.
let's see all the
You guys should just send it
comments.
in. Just send it in. In fact, we'll put. I know what we'll do. We'll put a topic, and we're going to put it up a week before for you guys to send in your comments, and we would come in
live.
one Tuesday and just start reading you guys'
Yes.
comments. We'll do that. Shaz, take note.
That's such a cool idea.
I told you to take note. Yes. Simi says this topic is fire. Thank you, Simi. Tola, Praise and Sharon spitting bars. Thank you,
I
girl.
know.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Mr. Mecca, he's watching. Hey! You got a few fans here. And somebody was replying to Tola saying epic comment. Making people's lives your goals. I really agree with Tola for that. He says food for thought. So that's true. Now that's another thing. Making people's lives your goals.
Okay.
Hashtag goals. I'm going to let Praise start on this because I know she's got something to say.
So obviously we are in the social media generation,
Yes, we
the
are.
generation that carries telephone everywhere, and there's
that
Instagram,
is-
and everybody is posting their relationship goals,
It's
food
especially
goals,
relationships.
humanity goals, hair goals, everything goals. But you're not seeing the hard work that went behind it. This is the thing. No one is showing you the struggle. Everybody is showing you the end result, the oh my gosh, I achieved this, or it's now 10 years, or it's now, oh, we've been married for 5 years. You don't know, they're not showing you the arguments. Then, well, some people are live streaming that, but they have a problem.
Oh, gosh.
But like no one is showing you the struggle behind how they got to where they got to, or they're doing their house tour. This house, this 7-bedroom house, one person, 7 bedrooms, 17 bathrooms, and you're envying them, but you don't know how many times they were eating pasta and pesto for 3 years so they could save up for the mortgage for the down payment on that house and what they're paying for mortgage. No one shows the behind the scenes. Everybody
Never.
puts forward the end results, and honestly, no one has an obligation to show you the behind the scenes either. Like, but just understand that you can't take everything that you see at face value. First of all,
Yes.
Photoshop. Second of all, like, there's a behind the scenes, behind every great thing that is put forward, there was a process. Everybody went through their due process to get it, if they got it legitimately. And so you have to understand that these things take time. Saving up for a down payment on a house takes time. Being in a positive relationship, building that trust where you know that person, it takes time. None of these things are overnight. And no one shows the behind the scenes because they don't have to. But living by somebody's highlight reel and comparing your down moment to somebody's highlight reel is just a way to make yourself upset and angry. Don't do it, guys.
Hashtag goals.
I like the fact that you said that, you know, you don't see what people are bringing forward. I was going to use, I'm really sorry, I'm not against Nigeria in any way. I love my Nigerians because every week I bring up Nigeria.
Yes, you do.
I relate, I speak based on where I relate with a lot, you know. There's a lot of things happening in Nigeria, you know. Every time, almost every week, there is one person that has been arrested for taking some girl's underwear. Now, why are they doing this? Because some guy somewhere has made them believe that if they bring that underwear, some stuff is going to happen and they would suddenly become rich. It may have worked for some people, right? It may have worked for some people and they've had the house. Do you know you want to be like them? You are, I don't know if envious is the word, but you just want to be, oh, this my friend has done this, and you know, all of a sudden, as last week we were hustling here and there, and 1 month later, this week now he has bought a car. 1 month now he has bought a house. You know, you don't know what he has gone through, and I like the fact that you said legit. There are some people who have gone through legit processes to get what they want to be, but should you go, you know, to the extra mile to get something? This is where, you know, we're not saying be content and if you're suffering, suffer. This is where you need to work. Work. You know, and if you work, you would be able to get whatever it is. When I mean work smart in a good way, not smart like, oh, this girl has left something there, let me go and read about the person. If you want to be like Steve Jobs, why do you want to be like Steve Jobs? What has he done? Is it because he set up Apple and that's it, I want to own Apple? Have you read back to what he did? You know, go back to the beginning with all the times that he failed, where he dropped out from school. I know, I'm not saying you should drop out of school.
Another huge thing, the why behind the motivation. Why do I want this thing? Why do I want to be like this person? Because when it comes to things like comparison, first of all, when you're comparing yourself to somebody else, just know that you'll never win on that one. Because by the time you're comparing yourself to someone, you're already coming from an I'm inferior type of complex rather than, oh, I'm above, you know? Like, and just... For example, there are certain character traits that I'll see in someone, I'll be like, I like this about this person. Like, a lot of my friends are very, very, very driven. And that's something that I admire, both in them and in myself. It is like, I associate myself with those people because I want to develop in that and continue in that vein. And there'll be certain things I'll see in them that I'll be like, I don't currently have this character trait, but I'm working towards it. Not because I want to be like you, just blindly, but because I know this is a good thing for me to embody as a person. There are, knowing why you want something.
That's a very powerful.
Yeah, there was something that I read online. As we said, everything is online now. So I read something on one of these platforms, these social media platforms that brings news and everything. A guy killed his longtime best friend because his friend suddenly got a car from the brother. So these two are brothers. This one decides, okay, so that I can help your hustle, I get you a car for you to use as a taxi. Then me, I also thought that was what you desire but do not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot with wrong motives, that you may spend what you... That one way to get this is through Christ. Yes, we know that there are a lot of people who are not in Christ, but we believe our aim is to get people out there, you know, to believe in Christ, you know, to believe in the God we serve. So if you want to get whatever it is, we don't know how your friend, if you want, there's nothing wrong with me saying, oh, I don't mind having the kind of car that Sharon has. Why do I want it? Because the car is very lovely. The car moves. Ooh, I've done a spin with the car and it was, oh my God. Or I've sat in the car and Sharon has given me this. So I don't mind having that. But am I going to kill someone to get it? No. Am I going to steal to get it? No. Then that means there's a lot of greed coming in. There's a lot of greed. So would you, I don't know how to put this, but would we say, you know, complex plays a role?
Absolutely.
You know, in this. What, I don't know, would we say it's inferiority complex or something that makes people lack contentment with what they have?
Okay, going back to what Praise said about the fact that this is the social media generation that we're in, I think I'll find it hard to just blame it on inferiority complex, because I feel like people want things but do not know why, which is terrible. And it's not because they do not have an amazing life. It's not because they're on social media to lead their lives. And I wouldn't say that it's because they're lacking. It's because they see this person and this person all of a sudden has this amount of followers, or this person all of a sudden got, you know, Insta famous, or hashtag goals. They're the hashtag goals. Then that's what has allowed a lot of people's mindset to sway, and which you said, you know, you want to fulfill someone else's mandate. What about your own? This world is a massive place, but it's very, very empty, because a lot of us are not fulfilling that which we're brought on this earth to fulfill, to do. And that means there's many lives out there that's missing out on that blessing because of us, because we're looking there when we should be looking up to God, who is the ultimate goal. Now, all this hashtag goal, one thing that frustrates me about it is, like you guys have already said, people know how to see the outside, but they don't know what's happening on the inside. Now, even those who are all of a sudden the hashtag goals, you do not know that makeup is maybe covering a lot of bruises, but yet that's the relationship you want to be in. So you do not even know what you're tapping yourself into. And then when you now end up in such a relationship and you literally have to wear makeup 24/7 because, you know, that's the goals that you want tapping yourself into, then you sit back and realize, wait, what was all of this for?
Exactly.
Why? And if you now find out the story behind the people that you was your goals, it would now sink in.
And that's why a lot, like, this past few years, like, all of these YouTube couples, so many of them have just been scattering. And everybody's like, no, you guys were perfect. You guys can't break up. And it's like, well, if they were perfect, they'd still be together.
How do you know they were perfect? They
Exactly.
showed you.
They show you what they want you
and
to
a
see.
few seconds of videos. There's
You know?
24 hours in a day.
And you're seeing 30 minutes and you've decided from...
They're doing good, but everybody's like, oh, I want to be like this girl. So 1 minute they're breaking up. 1 minute this person is getting married for 10 hours and she's divorced. But you see the process. You just see that 10 minutes of what the camera shows you, and you're like, oh my God, she is just ooh. You want to tap into the anointing. Anyway,
it's
keep
terrible.
tapping. Keep
I
tapping.
would not, but
No,
I would
keep-
say, but then for others, like I've touched on one, saying it's the social media generation that are allowing that to dictate their lives. But then there are some who suffer from that complex of, and I think we'll go back to Tola's comment of logical correct, and in the sense of they don't look, they never look in the mirror and see themselves. They look in the mirror and see, and not because I'm not trying to say that they should settle, but they look in the mirror and they see that am I like this? Why do I look like this? This person, they look this way. This person, even if you and this person were wearing the same exact dress, you start comparing.
They see what they're not, not what they are.
Yes, they see what they're not and not what they are. And the worst thing about that is what you are is so unique. And it took time to create. And if you don't appreciate that, who do you expect to? If you self-love is amazing,
So
and that's why I say but when I go back to the happiness and joy, being happy, that person can be happy because they wore that dress that the girl was wearing, but then they see someone else wearing it and it looked better, and that person's getting more, you know, more likes and everything. That's why I say happiness and joy, so different. Someone that has joy within themselves would not give 2 seconds of thought towards that. But someone who is happy in the moment would only be happy for those 5 minutes.
Until that validation is now invalidated.
That's it.
And I like the fact that you brought in the issue of, you know, loving your body. If you're not, because there are a lot of people that have seen my before pictures, honestly. If you're not happy with who you are, you would want to be like so many people. And a lot of people go injecting, you know, the behind and everything. Now, I'll tell you what happens. You do all those injections, you do all those surgeries and all that. The guy is attracted to you, not for you. Before, yes, there's some guys, don't get me wrong, some guys are attracted to the inner bit, but you've done it at that point in time. A guy that never looked at you before is suddenly looking at you.
He's just seeing proportions.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Then when all of a sudden the silicone decides that it's time to shift base, he shifts to one side and he's not there. You're no longer content. You go and you inject again. Now you've inconvenienced yourself, spending unnecessary money that you would have used on something more important, and because you're trying to be like,
here's the thing, if you see, like, even in the UK, not even talking about across different cultural barriers now, just in the UK, if you see the ideal body shapes of each decade till now, it has been changing. So you're buying a body for this decade. Next decade, you don't know if your body is still going to be in, or but you spent you don't know, like $5 grand, 10 grand on it sometimes for a body that you don't know if it will be in. Like knows, at the turn of the decade, it might all be about,
continue.
It might go back to
it might go back to BIM, and that's
literally.
It. You have
honestly, some guys like love handles. Listen. There was a point in time it was love handles all the way, and all the girls with slim waists are like, oh, what's happening? Do I go start taking chocolates every now and then? You know? So you want to be.
And the thing is, when it comes to body confidence as well, I just think. I understand, obviously, wanting to go to the gym or wanting to do this or wanting to gain weight or whatever, whether it be for health or just this is the appearance that you personally like for yourself. But there's a point where you're doing it that you can love yourself and want to do those things, or you can hate yourself and want to do those things. And when you're doing it out of self-hatred or out of self-loathing, the sustainability of it all is questionable. The ways that you'll go around it is questionable. And the mindset that you'll have, you'll never truly be satisfied because you hate yourself. Like it's not like you have a problem with how you see yourself. You'll attain the results that you desire now, and you won't be happy. You'll now say that it's your lips that need doing. It's now your nose that needs doing. You're always going to
look for something.
There will always be something.
Yeah, there will always be something. And once you start on this kind of journey, it's very difficult to stop.
Yeah, true.
So
true. Because that person that you want to be like, that bought the Benz whatever, you know, maybe ML. Oh, you're like, oh yes, I must get the ML. As soon as you buy the ML, the person, you've gone the whole mile to get the ML. The next person changes to GL. What do you do?
Oh, people get themselves into a lot of debt.
You now go, let's do GL right now. After GL, what do? You keep going and killing yourself. Anyway, I guess that's life. We have to, you know, I think it's with the changing times that everything just, you know, contentment just, you know, gets worse. People. I've also got another Bible verse here. First Timothy. Oh God. First Timothy chapter 6, verse 6, starting from verse 6 to 10. It says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction, which is, you know, you said something about being dangerous, you know, settling. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves in with many griefs. You know, just like the example that I gave, things that are happening in, you know, Nigeria, where people, there's a girl that got engaged recently, and like a month or so after she got engaged, they caught her fiance, with used sanitary pads. Like, when I mean used, like proper used, it's been used. And they asked him, they said, what are you using these things for? He said, oh no, it's my girlfriend's own. Okay, even if it's your girlfriend's own, what are you using it for? You know, so to him, it was a get rich quick kind of scheme to gather as much as he could.
There has to be better ways.
To do that. So nobody is saying you should not like money. Now, if you want to attain stuff, if you want a better life for yourself, when we mean better life, for a genuine reason, what's your motive? Are you doing it because you want to be like praise, or are you doing it because you want to be like Sharon? Why are you doing it? Or do you want to do it because you want to be comfortable? If I want to aim to get more money, is because I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to provide for my family, both present and future. But am I doing it because I want to show that I'm driving a 16 plate?
Yeah.
You understand? So for me, I think the last question before we round up, the last question I would ask is how would you tell people, or how would we learn to be content with ourselves?
Live like no one's watching you. I think
we'd like a proper explanation. When you say
literally.
leave, some people are very nonchalant and they do whatever it is.
Okay, as in, don't misbehave, don't be stupid. But like what would you do if you weren't afraid of people judging you? Go and do it, number one. Number two, like, make sure that your motivation behind everything that you do is either yourself or God. Do you know what I mean? Or your family, for example. But like, for example, don't go and start this business because Uncle so and so in church is watching, or because you need to prove to your mom's friend that you're doing better than her daughter. You know. Start the business because it's something you're passionate about. Do things because it's the things that you're passionate about. It's the things that you love. Don't live for other people's opinions, because if you live for man's praise, you'll die from his criticism, and you'll never be happy, because the thing is, people will always talk. People that have never done what you're trying to do will always have something to say, and if you live for that, it's actually long.
It's tiring.
Okay.
I would say, how do we learn to be content? I truly believe this is a question for everyone, and this is a task for everyone. Once you set out to do something, whatever it is, no matter how big, no matter how small, as long as you're taking a step towards doing that thing, who's the first person that comes to your mind? Now that will tell you whether you're someone that's content. That will tell you whether you're someone that's settling. That will tell you whether you're someone who is doing this for the right or the wrong reasons. And I think once you take that step, but then with the mindset of, I'm going to prove it to this person, or this will show this person, that would say a lot about you. And before you take that step, once it's not for yourself or God, then sit down. Because that will probably put you in a bigger, much deeper hole than you're already in. Especially if you've already lived a life like that of, I'm doing this to prove this to someone. We were not created to prove to anyone. God created us in his image to reflect his glory, for him to show his wonders in a way that he will love eternally. So why are you doing something that will, number one, will not last for a lifetime? Because even all this Apple stuff, Huawei is coming. And all these other people are coming as well. So it doesn't last a lifetime. And number two, something that will not take you to heaven.
Yeah.
Because your mind will be so focused on trying to defeat or overcome someone or beat someone. Instead of, let me do this to be a blessing. Let me do this to encourage. Let me do this to, spread the love and be able to reach others and fulfill my mandate. So I think, how do we learn to be content? Number one, sit down and think every task that you do, everything that you step towards doing, things that you even don't want to do, like you said, perfectionists are for those who procrastinate. Perfectionism, isn't it? So yeah, even with that, why is it that you're not doing it? what's the first person that comes to your mind? Who's the first person that comes to your mind? How do we learn to be content? Is to look yourself and smile. That's one thing I learned to do from a young age. You look yourself in the mirror and you smile. You don't have to have a reason to smile. But once you do that every day, before you know it, you are loving yourself. For the right reasons, of course. Not for you to compare to anyone or for others to be looking to you and say goals. But you're loving yourself because you were created in his image. I mean, we cannot go more biblical than that.
Yeah.
You are a reflection of
Who
God.
God is. Yeah.
So, why inject? Why inject? But that's my opinion.
This is a vaccination I don't want.
Even the vaccination is painful, honestly. The fact that you've got to go through that whole stress. I'd let Sharon read the comments before.
So a few more comments. Simi says, I can so relate to this topic. We're glad that, it's something that you are hearing and being blessed by. Those who know will know. But if you feel someone is lurking after what you have, keep your distance, because with them, even competing with you, they will start talking about you in a negative way.
Girl, you better tell them.
That does happen because they're not content, because they're not happy,
True.
So that is a valid point. You have to be wise with everything, I guess. Tola says, as the Bible says, this life is all vanity. It's and it's very fleeting. You'll eventually need to look at your intentions and ask Wagwan. And then she now says, I still want a Chanel bag. Good luck with that, Tola. Yeah?
Get it.
Have fun.
Get it for you.
She lastly says, have to change my like to a love because you ladies gave me church on a Tuesday evening. Aww. God bless you, girl.
We love you. We love you. So before I go, obviously, I have learned a couple of two, from everyone here. As I said before, Sharon gave that settling in the mindset is a very dangerous thing. Do not settle at all. Like, if you say this is in every area of your life, when I mean every, if you say, look, I'm just going to be a church-going Christian, let me just be going to church and becoming, and that's it, and not trying to better yourself spiritually, that's you settling. It's very dangerous. It can be harmful. Even in your relationship, in your career, in every area, it is dangerous. And Praise said, perfectionism is for procrastinators.
Yeah.
That is also very deep as well. Whatever area of your life you want to embark on, nobody's saying, as long as it's legal, do not, just keep that in your head. And Simi said something as well, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
So
Massively.
that is also very good. And I'm not sure who said this, but it says, if you live for man's praise, you will die from his criticism. Those are very strong and deep thoughts. I keep telling people that it's not about how old you are, that you can learn things. I learn a lot from people who are younger than myself. Knowledge, is if I'm here and I tell somebody, oh, you're doing your undergrad, I can't talk to you. That may be the person that will change my life by telling me one or two things. So, but how to learn to be, content. There was something Sharon said about smile. When I was a lot younger, I didn't like smiling. I didn't like it. And that's because I just felt like there could be something better with my smile. I can do something better. Other people smile and they look very good. But I just felt like if I smile. That's why today, if Danielle, my daughter, says, if she wants to smile and she does, no, smile, bring it out. Be happy with what you have. You have to take a moment to be grateful for who God has created you to be. No matter how slim. I used to be skinny. If anybody had told me I'll be who I am today, or the size I am today, I would have said hell no. But I was content with who I was, and I eventually got to where I am right now. And look for things that give you joy, because if the idle mind is the devil's workshop, because you are there. If you're not keeping yourself busy, doing something reasonable, productive is the word, then you end up seeing yourself trying to be like somebody else. Think about how you want to be, and anything that would bring you joy, as long as you're happy. And also, assume that life is perfect. You know, right now, whatever I'm living in right now is good. It will be better. For now, let me go learn and also perfect yourself. Go back home. As Praise said, you've got your 9 to 5 job. Do that. Get back home. Keep learning, keep learning. Nobody ever stops learning. You learn till you get to something and someone better. We would have loved to stay here a lot longer, but unfortunately, we're not going to be having Dare to Ask next week because it is a busy week for us.
Oh yes,
It is a busy week. We are so unfortunately for you guys, we are not going to be here on Tuesday, but we have a very amazing event happening next week, so you are invited. It is the Young Adults Ministry, People of Prestige. We're having New Heights.
Yes.
Starting from Wednesday the 8th up until Sunday, which is our grand finale. On Wednesday, we're going to be digging deep, which is we have a topic that we're going to be really looking into. It is going to be biblical. So Tola, as we have brought you to church on a Tuesday, we can bring you to church on a Wednesday and you can learn. Then on Thursday, we are going to let everybody rest. And on Friday,
We have
revival night. You know, we're going to be led in worship with all the amazing voices. So these are things you don't want to miss. On Saturday, we have relationship MOT. So you can, if you want to register, because there are limited spaces, if you want to register, you can send Sharon, you can slide into Sharon's DM or you can slide into my DM. As long as you are talking that's for that event, nothing more.
And it's a black tie event.
It is a black tie event. So don't worry, it's not going to be happening here. We will let you know. As long as you slide into any of our DMs. If you can't get through to any of us, don't worry. Just either
Message
you
on
send
Facebook
to
as well.
just send it to
Inbox.
the
Christian Center.
send it in and someone will be able to attend to you. And finally on Sunday it is a grand finale where we end in grand style. Thank you so very much and Praise.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Very soon we'll be welcoming you to the team.
Oh my God.
Don't worry, we'll let you know. We'll let you know. So thank you everyone. Who are those that tuned in?
Remember that God loves you.
He loves you.
Mwah.
Bye bye.